Now, school activities for hundreds of people in the Sunny East District have come to a halt after 8 people lost their lives while crossing the Water Lake on their way to school. They were among 20 people on board a boat crossing the lake without life jacket from the Ategome community to Wayokope. Now, since the incident happened, JoyNews understands the students have not been able to attend school. Let's get some more clarity on what is happening there in the district. Joining us through Zoom is District Chief Executive of Sunny East, Jerome Kofi Jima. Grateful to you, Honorable, for joining us. Why haven't students been able to attend school as of yet?
Thank you very much. May I extend my condolences to the bereaved family, the district, and the entire nation as well. As I did indicated earlier on my subsequent submissions, looking at what had happened, the regional minister came with his team. We went there earlier. We went with the chiefs, and understand they have to purify the water. They did it. So the chiefs is in talks with the traditional leaders, and they have almost done what it is for them. But the issue has to do with the children going back to school. That is why we are in talks with the bereaved family. As of yesterday, the police institution needed them to have a discussion with them, of which they came to the district, closer to the district capital at the police station, that is Kojo. And we had a discussion with them, including the police administration. So they've returned as of yesterday, and we are looking forward to meeting them once again so that we can actually talk to the parents.
Okay.
Already we had a discussion with them, and we are told that they are preparing to also purify the children so that they can actually go back to school.
Okay. Now, so how soon can students or pupils expect to travel up the lake to go back to school?
Actually, we are looking at next week or next 2 weeks. But at the moment, some of the teachers are also scared, and we need to also talk to them. And we are in talks with them, and we think that it will serve a good mood for us to get them back to school.
So, in terms of the purification, do we know what it entails?
Much as I've been briefed by the traditional leaders, when we got earlier, we didn't know this issue. So later on that we were told that a man passed on the water and it was not purified, and hence the repercussion that we find ourselves. So once it has been purified, they need to also take the children through one of these things, and then they will get back to school. And I think when it is done, this fear and panic that exists between the parents, the community, and then the people will be eroded. Once it is eroded, they will get back to school.
Yeah, so we wanted to understand the purification process. What does it entail, if you know?
These are traditional issues. And much as we are in Africa, we have a belief that our shrines always get angry when some of the things hurt them, and for them they go with punishment. So having gone through this, the traditional leader begin to find out what might have caused it, because in the river it hardly you see some of this things. So it was then that it was notified that there was a man who died on the water, and traditional leaders were not informed. So the Scenery River became annoyed and need to punish us on that regard. So they went through the traditional process. Well, we have to send what they call it, a ship. About 2 of them. One is for the old incident, and the other one is the new incident. We have about 2-3 files. The snacks, we will call it snack, and then other 1 or 2 things that they needed to purify the water, of which the Traditional Council has done very well. Then let me use this opportunity to thank the Traditional Council. It has been one of the unity that we had earlier. It is difficult to have Basa Traditional Council joining Nkumi Traditional Council, but when this incident happened, they all came together to purify the water, to mourn with the family, to go with us to the community. It tells you that although we are mourning, it is also uniting the family, the Traditional Council, and then the assembly as well.
Okay. So grateful that you let us in on all of this. Let's now talk about the life jacket. Following the directive from the regional minister, have you received enough for the peoples?
As we speak now, we haven't received enough, but I think that what we supplied to them earlier, like I did mention to other stations, we had distributed more than 200 to communities and on the riverbanks, and we expect that they use them. Our problem has to do with the enforcement of the usage. If you are living in this Sene River, joining the hotel, and you are mingle with the people. If you are a stranger and you put on the life jacket, the further is like usu na BNC. And for them, they are not used to wearing the life jacket. So we have to educate them. We have to let them know the dangers ahead. You could swim, but there is danger ahead. That what happens if you couldn't swim or something held you in the water. But if you are on life jacket and something held you in the water, the life jacket could save you. So they will have assumption that, oh, me, I can swim. So why do I need life jacket? So we are looking at that angle. The last time I also mentioned that we need philanthropists, NGOs, government agencies and institutions to also assist us when it comes to life jacket. We have been told that within these days I've spoken to the Zoo Lion, the Eco, and they've promised us that they are going to look at that. There's a sizable one for the children. So they are going to look at that one so that they can help through assembly, then we'll be able to provide to the communities. We have a lot of communities that children crosses from one place to another before they can have access to school. That is why we still make a request that government institution agencies, and like your station, you can also put it upon yourself so that you make that request on our behalf. We'll be happy when Joy FM or any other media stations bring some of these things. And then let me also use this opportunity to reiterate our request that we made through the regional minister to education minister, that we have people who have been trained when it comes to education, Winneba, Jackson, and then the UCC, and they are in the house. They are used to our water. When you post them, then they will stay and teach. When it happens so, they will not be crossing over here and there. Even if you haven't gotten approval from the GES, you can have a net, and those people will be in those communities to teach them. So the minister had made a promise that is going to be in talks with the GES and then the Ministry of Education so that we can get those people employed. Okay. So we want to also use your media to request that the government, through the education minister, should also look at, have a second look at, because I've been in his office more than 3 times, and he knows me very well, requesting some of these names to be recruited. And I think this will be the opportunity for us to get them recruited and then post them to these areas, and thereby averting this kind of predicament that we find ourselves.
Okay. So how many of these communities do we have that do not have schools and therefore would have to have people crossing the river to go to school?
We have more than 50 communities along the river. And then more than 22, you have to cross the river before you get to those communities. And then we have the small one, about 10 houses, 15 houses, 5 houses. That one is more than 50 that they have to cross to a particular place before they will be able to access education. So when it comes to Senegal, let me give you the picture very well. When it comes to Senegal East, when you get to where the incident happened, what do you call Atiga Gome there. When you get there, then you are more or less under the Senate East, because we have the forest, the Aduja forest. So we share a boundary with Sachafan Plain North and Sachafan Plain South. We have parts of our district given out to Eastern region. These are across so and thereabout. We have given them to the Eastern region, and they are part of us. Because of the distance and the nature of our water, we cannot be doing economical. But when it comes to census, they have their information in our system. So that is the problem that we find ourselves. Okay. So these are issues that we are looking at so that we'll be able to check. Okay. But when you go to that, just behind that place, we have the what is Dambai, which is the Oti region. We share boundary with them, and then we share boundary with Karachi West. That's the major place that we share boundary at East. Then we share boundary with Karachi Churu, and then we share boundary with Karachi.
Okay.
Sorry.
So the major challenge is that there are no school buildings in many of the communities, right? Is that
many of the communities? Exactly. There are no.
But from the way you explain, it looks like these are scattered communities. So what's the solution in terms of putting up school structures? How do you do it so that...
Assembly is doing what we could do to get those people classroom blocks and thereabout. But Assembly alone cannot afford it. That is why always I say that we need NGOs, philanthropists, government agencies, institutions. We have done proposal. We assigned MOU with Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. They help us to write some of the proposals. We have sent them some to, I personally sent them to GMPC. We sent some to Australian Embassy, Japan Embassy, MTN, Vodafone, a lot of the, including Madame Fugana, which is an NGO, UNICEF.
So how many school buildings do you need now?
If I get about 20 to 50 schools building, I'll be happy about
20
that.
to 50, 50?
Yes.
Okay. So back to the jacket. How many jackets have you received now? If the students should get back?
Now, apart from the one that Assembly we distributed, we haven't received any other. Okay. We are just working around the clock to get additional one for them.
And how many have you distributed?
We distributed about 200.
200. After the incident or before the incident happened?
Before the incident.
Okay. So it means that these children who were in the boat had some of these life jackets but didn't put them on. Is that the understanding?
No, that is why earlier on my submission, I mentioned that we have distributed the life jackets to them, but our problem has to do with people not wearing them.
Okay.
So when you come to our area, a lot of the boat owners have the life jacket, but when they give it to them, they will not wear. Until somebody is there to say, oh, me, I'm a marine police officer, if you don't wear, I will arrest you. And they are on the major borders between Ketikrachi and KJG.
Okay.
That is therefore.
So what have you done? What have you done in that regard to ensure that as the pupils are now coming back to school, maybe a week or two, they would start wearing or putting on these life jackets when they are crossing the river?
So before then, we had trained through the what they call it, through Zoom Lion. We've been able to.
So that's the DC for Sene East District Assembly, Jima there. But moving on to still staying with education, an average of 10 school girls get pregnant in a single term at Adidome Senior High School. That's according to the senior house mistress of the school. Shika is one of them. She had gone to the hospital to donate blood to a sick relative, only to be hit by the news that she was pregnant. But the current circumstances are not stopping her from accessing education. Joy Prime's latest documentary, Classroom Mothers, produced by Emmanuel Jivenu, explores the startling figures of pregnancy in senior high schools, as well as the frantic effort of stakeholders to keep these pregnant girls and young mothers in school. Here I said.
We went for a birthday party. We were dancing, drinking, and the whole lot. So I didn't know anything, so I came to school.
Shika, not her real name, is in senior high school. She is currently in her first trimester of pregnancy. This pregnancy was not planned. It resulted after uncontrolled partying and drinking. It all happened when Shika attended her boyfriend's birthday party while school was on vacation. According to her, she got drunk and had sex with the boyfriend.
We met in April. Yeah. Then we became friends and we started dating. I'll be visiting him sometimes. So his birthday, they invited me, and I went.
For months, Shika did not know she was pregnant. She had gone to hospital to donate blood to a sick relative, only to be hit by the news that she was pregnant.
The day my sister was sick, I went to the hospital to donate blood. There I was told that I'm pregnant 3 months, 2 days. So from there I called my grandpa and told him. Then he said I should come home. Then we went to talk about it.
The 18-year-old is disappointed in herself and fears her action may jeopardize her education.
I was sad because I knew that this is not the right time. I'm supposed to concentrate on my studies.
Well, like any other school, it is still the same. Averagely, a semester, about 10 girls get pregnant. Even these first years, currently, as they came to school, 2 of them were pregnant. And then we were able to handle them. They have given birth and they are back to school.
Mercy Jifa Afiakwada is the senior house mistress at Adidome SHS. She believes poor sex education partly results in misconceptions about sexuality among school children. She shares stories of how some girls get pregnant.
We do ask them, and maybe after vacation or after school they decided to go and mingle and then they get pregnant. Some to birthday parties, some to maybe their parents are not around. A whole lot, adolescents, they like to associate with the opposite sex, and since a lot of education is not going on, they are not able to control their passion well, they end up becoming pregnant.
According to the senior house mistress, her primary campaign was to encourage students to abstain from sex. But in recent times, she has added protected sex to her education. Some students still engage in unprotected sex and the girls become pregnant. Apart from the possibility of contracting sexually transmitted diseases, the senior house mistress has a plan for pregnant girls to prevent them from dropping out of school.
Well, what we do is that when we realize that you are pregnant, normally we monitor you. What I also do is that I call the house prefects, I talk to them and I tell them they should monitor them. And the moment they come to me and tell me that this person, they are suspecting this person, I monitor, and then I call the person, we talk, and then we go to the clinic, we test it, and if it is true, then we call parents to come in. And then we relax the parent and tell them that it has happened.
Shika was raised by her grandfather. She does not know her mother and father. Breaking the news of her pregnancy to her grandfather was difficult, but she eventually did, and Grandpa insisted she returns to school.
So from there I called my grandpa and told him. Then he said I should come home. Then we went to talk about it. It's like I should not give up, I should come back to school. So when it's time to deliver, I'll deliver, then I come and continue my education. I was disappointed, but he said I will make it, so I know that I will make it.
Pregnancy among schoolgirls is a global concern, and it is one of the gender-related barriers that prevents girls from completing the education. While pregnancy affects schoolgirls in different ways, the main difficulty is their inability to continue schooling during pregnancy and after childbirth.
The government has made a policy that since they become pregnant, they need to come back. They go and give birth and come back. So we calm them down, we monitor them. I monitor their antenatals and their food. Sometimes I do give them food if they need be. And we give them money if they need be. And then parents also come in. And then when it is almost time for the child to, or the girl to go and give birth, we allow the girl to go home, give birth, and 3 months' time, the girl comes back too. So we have a lot of them that do come back. Just a few that decide not to come. But a lot do come back and write their papers or continue with their schooling and then go.
Schoolgirls who are expecting are more likely to permanently stop attending school, even though some people are brave to come back. They would have missed years of education because of the time they had spent away. Due to the demanding dual tasks parents play, caring for their children and also studying, the academic performance may be.
Now, 24 communities in the Ghana South municipality are to benefit from books and furniture worth 200,000 cedis. As part of the second phase of the Reading is Basic project, the Rotary Club of Accra Airport, in collaboration with Book Aid International and SCEF, has firmly resolved to bridge the current deficit as well as cure the current challenges facing Ghana's education front. There's more in the following report by Prince Kwame Kuduga.
Education in Ghana is mostly hampered by lack of adequate books and furniture. Schools usually struggle to provide students with the resources they need to succeed, with many students forced to share books and work in overcrowded classrooms with inadequate furniture. This has had a negative impact on academic work, with students finding it difficult to focus and learn in these conditions. However, there's hope for the schools as the Rotary Club Airport, in collaboration with Book Aid International and SCEF, have intervened to help address the problem. The club has made a generous donation of books and furniture worth 200,000 cedis to 24 public basic schools in the Ghana South municipality as part of the second phase of the Reading is Basic project. Speaking at an event held to hand over the items to the schools, the past Assistant Governor of the Rotary Club of Accra Airport, Teresa Osetutu, said the move is part of the objectives of the club.
Said Rotary is noted for its humanitarian work. Rotary means, Rotary's motto is doing good in the world. And so wherever there's a need, Rotary is interested in doing good there. Rotary operates in 7 core areas. And basic education and literacy is one of the 7. So we are here because there's a basic literacy and education need that we have seen here, and that is why we have come to support.
Teachers and officials of the Municipal Education Service who spoke to JoyNews expressed gratitude to the donor, saying the items will go a long way to help improve the literacy of students in the municipality.
Yeah, I'm Walter Ojangba, the head teacher for St. Peter's RC. Yeah, I'm from. So with the coming of this NGO, bringing in lots of books into the system, it will give these learners the opportunity to have variety of textbooks, storybooks, and other reading materials available to them. And it's going to improve their reading.
We are so much happy that SEF and the supporters have come with this number of books, and we wish to get more because the number of children we have in the municipality are many. So when we bring more, we hope that reading ability of our children will improve greatly in the municipal. We have 24 schools that are going to benefit, and in the municipal we have 68 schools. That's both primary and that's basic schools in the municipal.
Okay, my name is Evan Sadu. I'm the language coordinator for Ghana South Municipal Education Directorate. Looking at the introduction of the Reading is Basic, now we can say that the children, they have improved on their reading. Yes. Then another thing is that for the issue of academic improvement, because now they can read, they can apply the reading to all the subjects.
Now, Tugbe Afede, the 14th, has bagged calls by individual bondholders to government to choose a expenditure cut over the inclusion in the domestic debt exchange program. He added his voice when the Individual Bondholders Forum, led by convener Senor Jose, petitioned him in his office. Tugbe Afede believes cutting costs to some expenditure project will help save revenue for the economy. Here I said.
I personally look at the problem and what has been proposed and thought as follows. Probably the starting point would be to establish what those debt obligations are in the first place, which of course I'm sure are very well known to government, the basis on which they've structured this proposed solution. Once we define clearly what our debt service obligations are, then the next step to actually take is to look critically at government expenditure and government revenues to see what can be done to enhance our debt service capacity. And as I said in an article I wrote recently, we should begin to look closely at our expenditures. What expenditures can we cut out? Maybe new, not very essential capital projects. What can we suspend? Ongoing, maybe unnecessary capital projects. What operational expenditures can we reduce? Looking at the size of government, payments to individuals, ex gratia, all kinds of allowances, monies that we spend on travel, and etc. There is so much room, I believe, for cutting expenditures, and that is where I think we should be looking at first of all.
He also charged government to enhance revenue as a way to sustain the debt restructuring to be able to maintain the economy's credibility.
Then the next step would mean looking at government revenues. Which revenues can we enhance? Can we reintroduce the road tolls at higher rates? Can we sell some non-essential assets? Probably can we begin to even tax some of these investment incomes from government instruments? Those might be easier approaches, that will be softer on the people, softer on the economy, than maintaining those expenditure levels against limited revenue and seeking to deprive individuals of their lifetime savings.
Now, former Chief Executive of GNPC, Alex Mode, has dismissed assertions by the government that the Gold for Oil deal will lead to a reduction in fuel prices. The government last week took delivery of 40,000 metric tons of the first consignment of the Gold for Oil deal with the expectation of reducing the pressure on forex and also presenting the country with a cheaper source of fuel. But speaking to Raymond Akon upfront, Mr. Mode explained there is no way the current program can lead to a reduction in fuel prices, demanding government comes clean on the deal.
Make people understand that there's no cheap fuel in the country. When they say cheaper fuel, I heard somewhere that we were talking about 20% cheaper. 20% pump price cheaper. Now, you and I don't know about you, but I can bet with you my last CD by pocket that it will never happen that we'll see 20% decrease because of the Gold for Oil deal. The reason is that currently Ghana already sells gold. Okay? So Ghana as a country sells gold. Government may not sell the gold, but Ghana sells gold. Yeah. When Ghana sells gold, it gets dollars. Those dollars come back into the system. Now, there may be leakages. There may be some smuggling. So if this Gold for Oil transaction that they are doing is going to block the smuggling, then it's good. But it is not going to give you the result of cheap oil. It's just going to give us a little more dollars in the system.
Why is it not going to be cheaper?
It's not going to be cheaper because you're still going to spend the same amount of dollars, and the dollars is going to come from the same area. Unless Bank of Ghana is saying that we will give you dollars at the Bank of Ghana interbank rate instead of the commercial bank rate. Now, why aren't they doing that already? Bank of Ghana auctions money to the BDCs currently. So nothing really is changing. We won't get cheaper fuel. What's going to happen in the oil side is that government is now going to be a player in the oil business. It's going to reduce the amount of oil that imports that the BDCs take, and government is going to decide who is going to be the largest player in the oil business.
So how and when can this Gold for Oil arrangement lead to a reduction in petroleum prices? We've been joined by Duncan Amwa, who is Executive Secretary for the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. Grateful that you could join us here. Now, how can this arrangement lead to a possible reduction, and when should we expect this to happen? Mr. Amwa,
thank you for having me.
Great.
Is that if we are going to see oil reduction, then we get as of not less than 8 for
We're having challenges with Mr. Amwes' line. We would probably reconnect with him so we can have a clearer line to bring you that conversation. But we're talking about the fact that I am a former chief executive of GMPC is questioning the arrangement whereby government of Ghana is using gold to buy oil as something that can lead to a reduction in the price of petroleum prices. He says that it can be possible and wants government to come clear on the details of this particular program that's Gold for Oil. Duncan Amoah is Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, and we're trying to get him to help us understand how this can be possible. Mr. Amoah, grateful that you've joined us again. How can this arrangement lead to a possible reduction, and when will this be likely?
So my initial checks with BOST indicate that the 41,000 metric that was brought in has probably been sold off. Unfortunately, you are only looking at a situation where any meaningful impact will be achieved only when the Gold for Oil program is able to exceed 70–80% of market demand. What we brought in could do just about 20% of market demand. And so you would have an overwhelming 80% of the market still controlled and probably imported by the private BDCs. And so whatever figures they get would necessarily subsume whatever savings that the Gold for Oil consignment could have given any Ghanaian. So you would need to scale up. And that, again, would also come from the sort of agreement that we are entering into as far as this Gold for Oil program is concerned. But at present, we might not have any meaningful impact with the Gold for Oil consignment and the kind of prices that may even be a bit lower than what BDCs are putting on the market, simply because if you immerse into the broader basket, what you would find from the BDCs would still be a lot more than what Gold for Oil consignment has brought in. So the effect would not be felt until, and of course, we scale up to somewhere in the region 70–80%. Then you can safely say that whatever savings that the Gold for Oil program comes with could impact market. But at present, I'm afraid there's not much we can report on.
Okay. But from what you know, is it likely we can get to the 80% threshold with this arrangement?
Well, that would depend on what sort of arrangement or agreement we do have with the intermediary paying for the oil from the OTCs. What sort of arrangement we've even made with the OTCs for what number of cargoes to be shipped in each week, each month. If we are able to scale up like I indicated, then we may be looking at a situation where the Gold for Oil consignments or cargoes could necessarily dominate the market. But if you do just 20% of the market, the remaining 80 would necessarily also have to come from elsewhere. And those prices, give or take plus or minus, would dominate what the pumps would eventually throw at all of us. We need to scale up, but the agreement would need to be put out there so we know when to expect what cargo, how much in terms of metric tons we are getting through the Gold for Oil arrangement each week, each month. Then we can do the projections to say that if Y, then X. But at present, the volumes are quite meager to cause any change in pump prices like you've witnessed this week.
Okay, so you've not been informed as to whether we have more players coming on board to give us the fuel through that arrangement so as to reach that goal of getting fuel price on the market reduced. You don't have the info?
Those figures, unfortunately, can only be indicated from whatever agreement that the gold for oil program would have gone into. You can only get speculation. In fact, if you talk to some within BOS, you get the understanding that there are other parcels of oil coming in. When they will come in, you cannot say how soon they come in, at what cost we would land those products. You cannot say, except to say that from what I gather with BOS, the parcel that we just disposed or sold to the market came in at almost 1 Ghana cedi cheaper to what the actual market numbers are. But like I indicated, if the volumes are not enough to stimulate the market, you would have the over 80% of other import numbers dominate, and that perhaps could explain why you wouldn't see any reductions currently or immediately. We need the agreement. We need to understand how many cargoes or parcels we are getting each week, each month. That would inform exactly what the market response is also likely to be. But at present, we've not been able to achieve much in terms of reducing fuel prices.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful that you could join us here. Now, we are moving on to other stories. Ghana's Insurance Association is the latest to sign on to the domestic debt exchange program after receiving same deal as banks. They came to an agreement with the Ministry of Finance yesterday after a series of engagement. This was contained in a joint statement issued by the Ministry and the Ghana Insurance Association. My colleague Joseph Akable joins me on Zoom with details of the statement. Joe, what does the statement say?
The statement indicates, in fact, some portion of it reads that the government, through the solvency window of the Ghana Financial Stability Fund, will provide support for the insurance companies that are seriously affected by the domestic debt exchange program. The objective, it says, is to protect the stability of the industry as well as jobs. It also indicates that the Ghana Insurance Association is happy to reach a deal with government that protects its members, but also enables government to push through the necessary economic reforms at this difficult time. Finally, government also indicates that the milestone on the back of the success with the banking industry has taken the government closer to completing the domestic debt exchange program, which is a key factor to restore economic stability and growth. And in terms of the terms of this particular deal, the statement indicates that the terms are similar to what government reached with the Bankers Association as well. And we know that the deadline elapses on Tuesday. And so the expectation is that between now and Tuesday, there should be some communication from government relative to the discussion that it is having with the individual bondholders. We know that the technical committee has reached an agreement and made some recommendations to the ministry. And so we expect that communication to come between now and Tuesday.
All right, okay, grateful, Joe. So you still...
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the business segment on JoyNews Desk with me, Pius Kojo. The Ministry of Trade and Industry says it's in the process of collecting data on industries that will be capable of trading under the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement to Cabinet to design a special tariff concessions and package for their operations. Well, this is part of supports by government to ensure that more Ghanaian firms benefit from the intra-African trade deal. Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Herbert Krapper, disclosed this to Joy Business. He believes that Ghana is ahead of many member countries as more firms have begun trading under the deal.
Now is the time to pay attention to the investments that would ensure that AFTA thrives, that AFTA takes off fully. And that's why I mentioned in my remarks that I believe that this is happening at a very good time. With investment promotion agencies on the continent to work together to see how they can streamline regulation, they can streamline their rules, they can streamline their resources, they can work more with government institutions to take the AFCFTA and the Intra-Africa Trade Agenda forward. And of course also you know that the Africa Prosperity Dialogue Series is happening here this week in Accra from Thursday, Friday and Saturday. And that is also important because then it allows the heads of state and the big business leaders on the continent, thought leaders on the continent, to move into signing a compact that provides space for logistics, for value addition, and for building regional value chains for the AFCFTA to work. So, you know, if you have your rules of origin in place, which we do, and you have significant schedule of tariff concessions given, you know that you are ready on paper to trade. What is now left is the actual practical production. And those are the things that now member states are investing time in.
So on the ground, Ghana, how ready are we? I know some 3 companies have started doing something last year. How far?
Ghana is ready in terms of the institutional support, in terms of the factories and the private sector production. What we are doing, we have set up a coordination office, as you know, and we are actually providing them with assistance to ensure that they are able to trade under the AFCFTA. What we are doing is collecting data that allows the ministry to go to cabinet to design a special package for AFCFTA trade so that they are competitive. Cost of power, cost of credit, infrastructure, all of those issues, government is paying keen attention to those things. And we can be able to take advantage of the duty-free, quota-free export opportunities that is available. But we are fully ready. Customs is the competent authority to provide the certificate of origin. We have all of that, as you rightly mentioned.
Now, insurance companies are being urged to rebate long-standing policyholders as an incentive to increase insurance coverage in Ghana. According to Driver Mo, an exploratory report on motor insurance, 63% of vehicle owners feel cheated when perceived no returns on investment. The report further revealed that 37% of drivers purchase insurance because it is mandatory and 32% do so to prevent police harassment. Project lead for Driver Mode, Nathaniel Jamina, spoke on the sidelines of the launch of the report.
Driver Mo is an advocacy and exploratory report on motor vehicle insurance experiences in Ghana. The report was launched to ascertain the problems burdening the vehicle insurance sector. Speaking at the launch of the report, President of Young Africans for Opportunities, Nathaniel Jamina, recommended that the insurance companies implement a rebate scheme to boost interest of vehicle owners.
We realized that from the findings that majority of Ghanaians do not purchase the insurance because of the benefit, but rather they just purchase insurance for to avoid police harassment. And even majority even said that they purchase insurance because they feel it is mandated by laws. Or it's compulsory, that is why they purchase insurance. So the project seeks the greater good that in insurance serving more than just compensating losses, but rather can be an incentive to improve safety and even reduce accidents. So let's have a situation where a driver who has subscribed to insurance has driven for or used the road or applied the road for almost about 20 years without accidents. You get it? And then they don't have anything from their insurance. But if you have a system where a driver who has driven for about 20 years without an accident is given a rebate on their insurance, it serves as an incentive for them to practice more good driving on the road. That is what we seek to project.
The National Insurance Commission lauded the report for revealing the gaps in the sector. To address one of the challenges of dealing with fake stickers, Senior Manager at Marketing and External Relations of the Commission, Charles Anson Denchi, indicated that his outfit will intensify education, especially the use of the USSD code.
The fake stickers, like I rightly said, the MID is real time. If you process a motor policy on the motor insurance database, which clocked 3 years on 20th January last week, Friday, 20th January 2023 was 3 years in running. It's of much benefit. It helps you to know whether a particular vehicle is insured or not. Even if a vehicle insurance has expired and even test it to the short code, it will not pop up. And it tells you that if you have the sticker, you could see that it has expired or it doesn't have insurance.
According to Driver More reports, SIC Insurance Company is the most trusted vehicle insurance company among drivers.
Welcome back from the break. Time for us to talk about tech And the man Spiky is ready with us. Spiky, so yeah, what are we talking about today? Spiky, if you can hear me, I want to know what we are talking about on Tech Talk today. Spiky, can you unmute so we can follow what you're telling us?
So we're talking about Meta deciding to unblock or unban Donald Trump from Facebook. So remember, Donald Trump was banned from almost every social media platform, including Twitter. And Facebook, mother company Meta, has decided that, hey, we're going to unban him after Elon Musk's decision to unban him from Twitter. So as it stands now, Trump should be returning to Facebook. And, well, we're hoping to see whether he would actually be active on there, because as he was unbanned from Twitter, he said he wasn't returning because he had already started his own social media platform. So, yeah, we're waiting to see what's going to happen. Snapchat also banned him. We don't know if he's going to be restored on Snapchat as well.
Okay. So let's see how that goes, whether he will come back or he will stay with his.
Yeah. Now, moving from that, you've heard about ChatGPT. It's been in the discussion for a very long time.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about ChatGPT.
It's really a solid thing, really.
Have a conversation with you. Yes. Well, would you believe I told you that ChatGPT passed exams from law and business schools? Well, as it stands now, ChatGPT went to write exams, graduate level exams in law and business. And although it wasn't exactly very smart, as in it didn't pass all the exam, it managed to get, grades that would be similar to, say, a C- student in law, but it did a better job in business. It got a B in business. So yeah, it's getting better, and it's raising concerns that, should there be regulations for ChatGPT, or should it be allowed to, just like we've now allowed calculators in our schools, should we allow ChatGPT in schools? That's the discussion that's going on right now.
That will be taking it to another level. Then of course, students will no longer have to think, because they just ask ChatGPT and it will do everything for you.
So we're yet to see what people would do with it. Well, I think it would usher in a new age of learning. It would cause for people to start looking at the evolution of learning, because we've been doing the same thing for a long time. There should be a difference. And some news outlets has tried a different approach to writing stories. CNET decided to use AI, the same technology that powers ChatGPT, to write articles for their website. Now, guess what? It was plagued with errors that they had to edit constantly, which is understandable, because AI, if you're looking at it, is still very, very in its infancy. So it's still learning, it's still very young, and it's definitely going to be making some mistakes. And we're hoping that those mistakes will be improved, with Microsoft looking to invest in ChatGPT's founder, OpenAI. So Microsoft is looking to invest billions in OpenAI just because of ChatGPT. And we've seen that Google has also invited its former CEOs, Sergey Brin, to come back and come and help them, because they feel very threatened by ChatGPT.
Okay, let's see how that goes. But I mean, that was it's a fantastic innovation that OpenAI brought up. But I'm grateful for the news you brought us today on Tech Talk. That's Kobe Spiky in Chroma there. And that's how we wrap up today's bulletin here on News Desk on the Joy News channel. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo. Do enjoy the rest of our shows and have a great morning.